These videos were created for you to watch along. They'll teach you about client track so you know what's going on. So best of luck with all of your data. Now here's your HMIS system administrator. In this video, I'll be going over editing household members within ClientTrack. In this video, we'll learn how household members and family accounts work within the system. We'll also learn how to remove a client from a family, as well as transfer a client from one family to a different family. The first thing I want to go over is how a family account is created within ClientTrack. So when we do a project intake and create a brand new client, the system will automatically create what's called a family account that this client will be associated with. That happens here at the bottom here. As you know, we always tell you to create the head of household first and leave this field blank. And what this is doing here is it is creating that family account. And you can view that family account to see its name. If you click on Edit Client on anybody and scroll to the bottom, you'll see the family account. And by default, the family account is the head of household's name as well as the birth date. So it's important to kind of understand what this is and what it represents. A family account is created for everyone within the system. Even a single person, for instance, they still have a family account that's created, and then this client is associated with this family account. If they were to get other family members in the future, then those new family members would then be associated here, and this is how the system keeps track of different family members. Now, where some people get confused is the idea of household members versus the idea of case members. So we just talked a little bit about household members, and as far as where we can see household members, the different household members, we can click the icon here at the top. We can see any household members that are connected with them. We can also click on household members here and get that list. But there's also a thing such as case members, which have to do with a project enrollment. So when we do a enrollment on a client, the second screen lists family members. And so this right here is anybody represented through the standard household members within ClientTrack. These are any household members that have previously been connected to this client. So for instance, if a client had entered the system maybe a year ago, they had a very large family at the time, all those members might still be listed here. However, when you're doing an intake, you might only be working with the head of household for that family, and you might only need to enroll them. And so a lot of people will get concerned because they think they have to remove any family members that should not be part of their enrollment. However, ClientTrack gives the flexibility of having household members listed in this manner, but then also on this next step here, when you're doing intake, this is where what allows you to select the household members that you are actually going to enroll. And so it gives you the flexibility of, while there might be multiple family members listed, if you're only working with one of those people, you could just put a check mark by them and do continue the intake, and then as far as all your reporting and everything like that, they will show up as just a single person. And so for instance, for this particular client here, we can see they were enrolled in this project. The entire family was enrolled, so we can see because there's 3 case members. For street outreach, there was only one person, so that would be this person right here. So this would just show up as a single person enrolled in this project. And then here we can see that there were 2 case members. You can always view the case members by clicking here, and you'll get a list of the particular people that are enrolled in the project. And again, for all reporting and everything like that, this is what's going to count, regardless of if there's additional household members here. Also, if you're running any HUD data quality reports and you get errors such as there's more than one self listed for an enrollment, this is where you would correct that. You would go in and edit the enrollment, and if this had been listed as self, you would change that to the appropriate response. So I just wanted you to understand kind of the difference between case members and household members, because that can cause a lot of confusion sometimes. I will now walk you through modifying household members. While we just learned that ClientTrack gives a user the flexibility of just enrolling the particular clients that are appropriate for their project, regardless if there's additional household members that are connected to them, we still realize there are particular cases where it is appropriate to remove a client from a particular household or transfer them to a different household. So for example, if someone gets a divorce, we know this would be a permanent change where someone is no longer with this person. We would know if someone is legally adopted by a grandparent that their household could change permanently that way. So there's some certain scenarios where it's a permanent change and that we would want to go in and update that. What we do not want to do is if there's a temporary change or maybe something we're unsure of, we do not want to go in and modify the family members. And so, for instance, if you were running a men's shelter that just works with single men, someone comes to your project, connected to them, they have a spouse and children from maybe a previous time they were keyed into the system, and you're just unsure of what's going on with that spouse or those children, well, you would not want to go in and disconnect them or remove them from that family. You would just simply, when you're enrolling, you would just select the man, and then that would show as a single individual on all your reports. But again, for this training here, we're going to say these are people that we know needs to be permanently removed from their family or transferred to a different family permanently. So our first example we're going to go with is a child that is legally adopted by a grandparent. So this is going to be someone that needs to be transferred from one family account within ClientTrack to a different family account that's already been created in ClientTrack. So I am going to switch over to the daughter here. We're going to hover over household members, click household history. You can see here under household history it lists this family account right here as the current family. And what we want to do is we want to click on add this client to another family. We will click on the magnifying glass here to search for a different client that will allow us to pull up that family account and associate this client with it. So right now we're looking for that grandparent. So I'm going to go ahead and click search. Here we have the grandparent record that already exists in the system. We want to make sure the date here is appropriate for when this change happened or when we want this change to be reflected within the system. What is the relationship to this grandparent? So if we're going to say she's a granddaughter, that would be other family member. It's very important that we tick this to say set as current family and also tick the remove client from all other families. So this is going to add the family account here as the current family and also remove the daughter from the previous family. I'll go ahead and click save here. It will then take us back to the family history page. This will be where we can now see that the current family is in fact this family. This is when it was added. We still have, for historic purposes, the previous family account that the client was associated with, but we can see that it was removed here and that it is not the current family. But we can use this action button to view family members and actually see those family members that the child used to be associated with. This means we can always go in and see a history of different family members that a client has had in the past. However, if we pull up our original client here that we were working with, if we click on their family icon, you will note the child does not show up now here. If you click household members, they do not show up here. If you were to do a project intake, the child would not be listed as a possible family member to enroll. However, if we look here at previous enrollments, we can still see that there were 3 people enrolled in this project, and if we click view case members, we can still see that they were all in this project together. So that is a scenario of removing a client from one family account and adding them to another. The other scenario we'll go over is when we need to remove a client from an account and they just need to go into their own account by themselves. And so, for instance, if we knew this was a case where these people were getting divorced, we know that we need to remove one of them to be into their own account by themselves. So I'm going to pull up this person here. I'm going to hover over household members like we did with the other client, click on household history. Of course, we can see here their current family account. We're going to say add this client to another family like we did before. Click the magnifying glass. Here's where we're going to do this a little differently, because this client does not have their own quote-unquote family account already created, because they've just been a part of the adult 1 family this whole time. So what we want to do here, instead of searching for somebody, because there's not anybody to search for, we would click add new family. This will allow us to create a brand new family account. It's automatically going to come up with the name for it, which is that client's name and their birth date. We can go ahead and click save. So now it'll give us the opportunity to associate this client with this new family name we've created. Again, we want to make sure date added is appropriate. Relationship is going to be self. We're going to say set as current family and remove client from all other families. And we'll go ahead and click save. Again, we'll see that history here of where they were, where they are now. And now if we pull up our original client, we'll be able to see they are in fact by themselves, same way we do here. And then if we pull up the client that we just moved over, so the spouse, now we can see they are in their own family account as self. But again, it will keep the history of programs they had previous. So that's how household members and family accounts work within ClientTrack. Hopefully that's been informative. As always, if you have any questions, click the help icon in the top right and you can submit an issue.